Now, the Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal, he met with Zelenskyy today, so he was with him in Washington. He's also, of course, on Armed Services Committee. Garry Kasparov, Russian dissident, Grand Chess Master, also just wrote an article in The Atlantic that I would urge anyone to read who hasn't. Senator Blumenthal, so, you were with Zelenskyy today. He, this moment happened, which I have to keep rewatching, and yet it makes me sick to watch it. He did not apologize in that interview with Bret Baier. He stood firm. So what happens now?
Well, I was with President Zelenskyy earlier in the day at 9:30 in a bipartisan meeting, very positive and very productive. And he was ready, willing, and able to sign that agreement. There was an expectation in the room that the agreement was all set. I think there is a mutuality of interest in that agreement and in
This is the minerals deal. So he was planning to sign it.
He was planning to sign it, but let's be clear about what happened in that meeting at the White House. It was not looking for thanks or gratitude. It was demanding groveling. And the kind of belittling and bullying that occurred there, I think, is absolutely shameful for the president and the vice president of the United States. It had very much the feeling of an ambush. And, President Zelenskyy has thanked the delegations that I visited Ukraine with 6 times. I've met with him probably 15 times in total. Every one of those meetings, as you've said so well, he has expressed his gratitude to the American people. And I think now we have to put it back together. I'm hopeful. I can't say I'm confident, but I am hopeful that at the staff level, at the diplomatic level, at the congressional level, we will preserve and use our bipartisan coalition.
So Garry, the body language, though, was incredible today. This is what I think just no one's ever seen anything like this in public, right? Trump's pointing at him, right? Leaning in. Trump's face then gets red. Just the look on Zelensky's face in some of these moments here that we've screen grabbed. Why do you think Trump chose to respond to this? He made a comment at the end, Garry, this is going to be great TV, right? He was hyper aware that all of this was going to be seen. That seemed to be the point.
It's natural for Trump to think about TV effect of whatever he's doing. But I have slightly different reading of the whole story.
Yeah.
It was provoked by J.D. Vance. If you look carefully at what Trump did prior to J.D. Vance's interference, even when he met Zelenskyy, when he said, oh, he dressed up, that's not Trump. It was not berating. It was, well, okay, fine.
Yeah, right. More
sunny, look. Trump was in a good mood. He was ready to sign. It's every indication that Trump wanted to sign and to trumpet a big victory. J.D. Vance interfered. And by the way, Senator, tell me what J.D. Vance was doing in the Oval Office. It's highly unusual. I think that J.D. Vance, who represents the most aggressive part of the administration, Musk, Donald Jr., and they were always anti-Ukrainian. They were always more pro-Russian than Trump. And I think they were concerned about Trump's weakness or softness with Macron and Starmer. That's why J.D. Vance was there. I think J.D. Vance came in to create this crisis. And up to his interference, it was all more, again, Trump is Trump. But J.D. Vance intentionally provoked the crisis, and then it was very easy. Trump fired up.
Well, he got fired.
Because he was lying. He was pushing the same lies, with a straight face. Same way he did it in Munich, facing the Europeans, saying, you're a bunch of suckers and losers. The same. He knows how to deliver. And he knew exactly that Trump will jump, when Zelenskyy tried to correct the facts.
So, and on that moment, when you see Zelenskyy laying out the times the ceasefire's been broken, and Trump's annoyed at times, he jumps in and tries to make the point, well, I wasn't president then, but it is J.D. Vance. I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval, and then and the whole thing turns. Sort of jumped in to come to the defense of his big brother or something.
And that's what I meant when I said it smacks of an ambush. That J.D. Vance knew what he was doing. He probably anticipated Trump would rise to the bait, so to speak, and that Zelenskyy was basically laying out the betrayal and the dishonesty of Putin. And there is a through line in Donald Trump's foreign policy, which is always sycophancy to Putin. And that's what we saw on clear view today.
Well, it was when he was laying out the times that had been broken, right? Then JD came in, almost as if, this is the moment I got to make sure I got this can't get traction here. On this ceasefire, Garry, there was an exchange that Trump had. So Zelensky's talking about Putin breaking the ceasefire. And then Trump comes in. It's a very trademark Trump answer, but you can give perspective on whether it's real. Here's what he says about breaking ceasefires.
What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal.
So, Gary, Trump thinks this is about him, that Putin wants to do a deal with him, that he won't break a ceasefire with him. He will with everybody else, but not with me. Is it about him?
Actually, I think Trump speaks the truth. Putin wants to make a deal with him because that's the best person that can make a deal with Putin. And the reason that Putin hasn't attacked Ukraine early is because he expected Trump to win in 2020. And then, maybe Trump right, maybe there would be no war because Trump would be forcing Zelenskyy to accept Putin's demands. So Putin, if you
So you're saying, yes, do a deal with Trump because it'll be the deal Putin wants.
Exactly. That's again, it's not I'm saying, it's they've been saying it. I followed Russian internet today. It's just, it's burst in celebration. It's the biggest thing that ever happened to them since God knows when. So they are celebrating because now, fine, they saw Trump showing, as they say, true colors. Now Russia and America will decide the future of the world. Again, it's not just about Ukraine. It's about the international world order.
And you think in your article you say that Trump doesn't. It's not just a matter of respecting Putin, that he's imitating him.
Absolutely, that's what he's doing here. It's basically abandoning the systems of checks and balances and the functioning democracy that served America well for 250 years.
And I think Gary makes a really important point. We've said over the last 3 years, the world is watching. Xi in China, Kim in North Korea, the rulers of Iran are watching. And what Trump demonstrated is weakness, pathetic abandonment of an ally who has been bleeding and dying, and then the audacity to say that Zelenskyy doesn't want peace. This man has led the country bleeding and dying. He's lost friends. He's gone to visit the amputees. I've been with him at times when he has mourned and really indescribably grieved for his country, and he's led it with courage and determination. In the first Russian assault, they came within just miles of his bunker. I visited Bucha, where women and children were shot through the head and buried in mass graves. So he wants peace, but it has to be peace with freedom and independence. And that's why we should be supporting him, because Putin will keep the aggression going.
Well, Putin has said there's no such thing as Ukraine, and there's no such thing
by
as
the way,
Ukraine.
just to add is this: if you look at Russia today, so it's a giant military camp, from kindergarten to the top of the government. They talk only about war. It's a brainwashed country. The military production is pumping. So the new mobilization is on the way. So FSB receiving new powers. Putin has no intention to end the war if you look at what he has been doing, not what he occasionally says.
Yeah, look at actions speak louder than words. They always do. Well, thank you both so very much again. I hope people will see your article in The Atlantic, Gary. And next, the breaking news continues.